All right, let's just settle into a nice, comfortable seated posture. So whether you have your feet down on the ground, have them in a parallel position. And if you're sitting in a cross-legged position, you can support your knees with a couple of cushions if you wish. Just put myself back on gallery. Hi, Stephanie, welcome. Okay. So now just imagine your shoulders are aligned with your hips. Just right on top of your sits bones. And then see if you can imagine your ears kind of gliding back and lining up with your shoulders. So this might not be available to everybody right away, but just think about that as something to aim for. So the important thing is to try and avoid having your head out of alignment, leaning forward, because it'll make your meditation very uncomfortable after a while. It'll harm your shoulders and neck. So as much as you can. Now just imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light, and it stretches from the base of the spine, the coccyx, all the way up through the crown of the head. And just imagine there's perhaps a person on the other end of that string, just very gently lengthening. So you're not forcing yourself to sit up straight. Your spine has natural curves. You just imagine pulling out the kinks and putting some space in between your vertebrae. You can lengthen the back of the neck a little bit without putting the head too far forward. And then just bring your attention to the breath. Notice the sensation of the air as you're inhaling and exhaling. Take a nice deep breath as we start to turn inwards. Now bring your awareness, your conscious mind to the crown of the head and just release any tension there and try and notice if there are any sensations. Might be some tingling or maybe nothing, but just be aware of what's going on up there and just to maybe allow a little softening to come into the scalp, to the forehead, to the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, your mouth. Just see if you can relax your jaw and the back of the tongue and the temples. Relax the back of the head, the neck, and just allow your shoulders to drop down, your shoulder blades to drop. And perhaps just allow a little softening around the neck, the throat, the chest, the belly, and all of your limbs. And bring the mind back to the breath. And then be aware of any sound in your environment. So some of you are living in apartments, perhaps, or with parents or children, pets. So you'll hear movement around the house or outside of the house. There might be traffic. Just allow those sounds to be there. Try not to follow with the mind. And just let them be. And then notice what's arising in your mind this evening. What thoughts are there? And try not to judge. However it is you're turning up this evening, it's completely fine. It's just where you're at right now. Try put some space in between the thoughts without following a story, creating a story. Just watch with as much objectivity as you can. And put yourself on the bank of this river and just notice the water. It's flowing by. Notice the quality, the temperature, the color, the depth. And just be aware that while you're sitting on that bank, you're free from the river. So now bring to mind all the people of your life. You know, we have some people in our life who we have these very deep and profound relationships with. They impact us enormously. And sometimes they're so present in our life, we forget how precious they are and how our lives would change if they were no longer there. So it's really good to remember how precious these people in our life are. These are our loved ones. And then we have some folks in our life who are a little bit irritating. Maybe they've harmed you. And then there's our strangers, many, many strangers on the highway, at the shops. So interestingly, these relationships could change place at any time. Karma changes. And however you feel about any one of these groups of people right now, they're all actually equal. They're all equal because everybody just wants to be happy. No one really wants to suffer. And every single one of these people has this extraordinary capacity for this, enlightened mind. So we'll do this purification practice this evening for the benefit of all these people of our life, and by extension, all sentient beings. So going back to remembering that there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this, because we're dealing with the mind, we're dealing with psychology. So as much as we engage in negative thought, we are equally able to change our mind and engage in positive thoughts. And sometimes it's just a little bit like turning around the Titanic. It takes a bit of effort and a bit of skill, and sometimes a good deal of help. But it can be done. So we start with the first of the four opponent powers, the power of regret. So sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you've done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives. And think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general, regret. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma. We experience everything due to our past actions. Having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience some level of suffering. So we know from our present suffering we don't want any more. So logically, it makes sense to try and remove these karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this. We just create this idea of regret. So regret can also be, go a long way to healing any kind of action that we've done that might be harmful to others. So we regret from the depths of our heart having harmed others with our body and our speech, and having broken our vows because we don't want any future suffering. We think, I'm sick of suffering. So also regret our delusions, our anger, attachment, and the rest. They're the cause of why we end up harming others. So think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So we come to the second of the four opponent powers, the power of reliance. So we think of this Buddha Vajrasattva as we're not looking at a higher power. We're looking at this Buddha who has these methods that we can use to heal ourselves. So you can also view this as a healing practice as well. So imagine this Vajrasattva you can see in front, also behind me, on the crown of your head. And if all that detail in there, all that artistry is, and that brightness is difficult for your mind, you can just imagine this beautiful ball of white light contains all the energy of all the enlightened beings in the universe, right there on the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. So just sitting there, happily there. And you can imagine you sitting made of this beautiful light and sitting cross-legged on a white lotus and a moon cushion. He's a beautiful, radiant face. His eyes are long and they're peaceful and full of love and compassion. His arms are crossed at his heart, the left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell, and this represents wisdom. And the right is holding a vajra, and this represents the indestructibility of compassion. And there being cross represents, symbolizes enlightenment, infinite wisdom, infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So we have this little section on compassion, developing compassion. And why it's under reliance is because we need to rely upon other sentient beings in order to develop it. So bring to mind someone you've harmed, and then someone who's harmed you. And just develop a strong wish for them to be free from suffering. This is where you start with compassion. Just wish for the person to be free from suffering. It's not the same as feeling sorry for a person. That's a different energy. This is a deep wish for a person to be free from suffering. So then we come to the power of the remedy, and this is what they would say is the medicine. And we are visualizing and we are reciting mantra, Sanskrit. So we start with the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar, like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart. And it arcs around and enters your crown and fills and pours into your entire body and fills you completely. And it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, and this pours out of you and disappears into space, not one atom left, as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajrama Mimutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Sutukaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mempiyatsa Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tatagata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dina Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta me boa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham pe vajrasafa samaya manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita dita me boa sitokaya me boa sipokaya me boa Anarakta me boa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahompe. Vajrasafa samaya manupalaya vajrasafa dina patita. Dina meboa, sitokaya meboa, sipokaya meboa. Anarakta meboa, sawa siti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me. Sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan. Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahompe. So be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think that there is no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of our speech. And so just imagine Vajrasattva very happily, very, very happily sending powerful nectar from his heart chakra. And it kind of arcs around and quite forcefully enters your crown and fills your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech. And this kind of overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and useless speech and lying and talking about other people behind their backs. When we all do it, and then all our inappropriate speech, like just boring people to death, rabbiting on about nothing. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as we recite the mantra. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasiti Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata Ahom Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahom pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahom pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahom pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahom pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahom pe vajrasattva samaya manupalaya vajrasattva dina patita dita meboa situkaya meboa sipokaya meboa Anarakta meboa sawasiti mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me sitam shriyam guru hum ha ho bhagavan sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata ahom pe. So be really happy your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything but just benefit others with your speech. And that includes yourself. So next is a purification of our mind. And Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra. And this arcs around and enters your crown, and it fills your entire body. So it kind of is instant. So like when you walk into a room, it's dark, you flick on the switch, and instantly the light comes. The light dispels the darkness. So you can imagine the same here. The moment the light from Vajrasattva's heart hits your heart chakra, all the darkness of the negativity of your mind. So here we're looking at depression, anxiety, bitterness, grudges, jealousy, neediness, anger, all of this kind of thing instantly dispelled, not one atom left. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe. So be delighted at all your delusions. This is the cause of all of our unsuffering and why we harm others with our body and our speech. And imagine it's completely purified, just gone. And think now there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness, wisdom, bliss, compassion. And next is a purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. So imagine Vajrasattva sending light and nectar, and it fills you completely and eradicates this very subtle imprints of negative energy. Om Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita Mibowa Sutukaya Mibowa Sipokaya Mibowa Anarakta Mibowa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kamasita Me Sitam Shriam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hompe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dita me boa, Situkaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorecta me boa, Sawasidi mimpiata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiam Kuruhum ha ho bhagawan, Sawa Datagata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa, Mahasamaya Satra Ahompe, and Vajrasafa Samayam Manupalaya, Vajrasafa Dina Patita, Dita me boa, Situkaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorecta me boa, Sawasidi mimpiata sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahompe Vajrasafa Samayam Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Dida meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anorakta meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan, Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahompe, and Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita, Dida meboa, Situkaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anorakta meboa, Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahompe and Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Dita Meboa Situkaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anorakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpiyata Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutta Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Satra Ahom. Okay. So I feel completely purified, and there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. So even the subtlest obscurations, obstacles to your enlightenment have been removed. And now is the fourth of the opponent powers, and that's the power of resolve. So just start by rejoicing in your efforts. Coming here night after night. Some of you are already in 3 hours ahead. So it's quite late where you are. So that takes quite a bit of discipline. So really rejoice in their efforts. Some of you are in different time zones, so other countries. So you're making an effort to come at a time that's not necessarily convenient. So really rejoice in that. And then think we have to we want to change our mind. We need to make a decision in order to do that. So it's not just going to happen by itself. We have these kind of habit energies that, even though we have a wish to not do something, it's sometimes the habit energy is quite strong. So we have to kind of try and give ourselves some guardrails, reel our habits in, so we're not harming ourselves and others. So you can think about something that is not really serving you terribly well, might be harmful, and maybe think about just focusing on that. I don't know, you could set your watch, set your phone to remind you to think about it for maybe 5 seconds or a minute. Maybe how you could do it differently. So this kind of determination to not do again, or to refrain from doing, or just even think about refraining from doing, and having an aspiration to do it, it gives us some kind of strength to start doing things a little differently. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with you, with us, wants to merge with your mind, and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And you think, my teacher, my trusted mentor, however you see them, body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. And next, Rinpoche would recommend to think about emptiness for a little bit. So you can think, in emptiness, there is no I. There's no creator of negative karma. And there is no action of creating negative karma. And there is no negative karma created. So just place your mind there for a moment, at whatever level you understand, whatever level you've been taught. You can think of all the phenomena are empty. They don't exist from their own side. They don't exist the way we think they do. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice to all living beings, all those people of your life, and think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment, for the sake of sentient beings, as quickly as possible. So then make a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long, strong wish for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then any of your own teachers. And there doesn't have to be just necessarily your Buddhist teachers. These are people in your life who are helping you to become healthy. They're your yoga teacher, your Tai Chi teacher, your whoever your chiropractor you go to. These are people who are helping you in extraordinary, profound ways. So just make a strong wish for them to live long and have happy lives. Okay, everybody, lots of love. Good night. Thank you for hosting, and I'll see you guys tomorrow evening. Okay, bye everyone. Sweet dreams.
Thank you, Venerable.
My pleasure.